Prisma, Eloquent, Doctrine. Why use ORMs? As developers working on the backend, we have a problem. In the programming world, the default way of modeling reality is by using object-oriented programming. However, the default standard for modeling data in a database is by using tables. These two, objects and table rows, aren't directly compatible in terms of our mental model. There's kind of like a gap. And this is where ORMs like Prisma and Doctrine and Active Record or Laravel's Eloquent come into play. They help bridge the gap between two mental models, between tabular data and object-oriented programming. ORMs map data between objects and databases, hence the name. ORM means Object-Relational Mapping. They make life so much easier. However, that isn't without drawbacks. We'll get to that later. First, what are ORM's main advantages? First, ORMs allow you to interact with databases using a syntax you're familiar with. It makes developing a lot easier. This conversion abstracts away the subtleties of working with a database, and by doing so, it provides the second advantage. It removes a whole load of boilerplate code. And that brings us to the third advantage. Less code means less maintenance and fewer bugs. It means code that is easier to read. It means a better developer experience all round. Less code makes life easier for everyone. Fourthly, in some cases, such as for Prisma, the ORM can allow you to have a shared interface that abstracts away the details of the underlying database. You tell it what you want to get, and it worries about how to get it. However, that level of abstraction, of indirection, comes at a cost. I count 5 points to watch out for. First of all, ORMs can introduce a performance overhead because they need to translate between the database and the programming language. Second, ORM can hide important details about the underlying database, which can lead to unexpected behavior or performance issues. If you don't know exactly what the ORM is doing, it's difficult to optimize how you use it. Third, ORMs are often less flexible than accessing the underlying database. This can also mean that you are less able to optimize how you query the database because you don't have the flexibility to specify precisely what you need the generated query to look like. Fourth, ORMs introduce maintenance overhead. They need to be updated regularly to keep track of new features in the underlying database technology. And fifth, ORMs add complexity to an application. They require an in-depth understanding of the ORM's behavior and limitations. This can actually make it more difficult to debug and optimize. It's essential to carefully consider the specific requirements of a project before deciding to use an ORM, and to be mindful of the potential limitations and trade-offs. Now, what does this mean? Should we shy away from ORMs because of this? No. Despite all these pitfalls, ORMs are still a valuable tool for many applications, and they can greatly simplify the development process. In most cases, the ORM is your friend. However, it's important to understand what the drawbacks are. To get the most out of your ORM, you need to understand what is going on behind the scenes, what behaviors it's introducing, what queries it is generating. Understanding how your ORM works is vital for the long-term success of what you're developing.